Well, it's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, I'm going to be honest, guys, trying not to let my emotions get in the way of this video because I'm very, very pissed off and frustrated about what happened tonight with Gary Russell Jr. and Mark Magsayo, because I'm going to be honest and I'm going to be frank, and I don't care who likes it or doesn't like it. Mark Magsayo is a C-class fighter of the highest order. Mark Magsayo, he won his world title. Congratulations to him, but man, he needs a lot of work. He needs a lot of work if he wants to hold that title, because he's going to be food for the rest of the featherweight division. I mean, let's talk about the fight tonight with Gary Russell Jr., because I'm going to be honest, frank, and forthcoming. I personally don't think that Mark Magsayo beat Gary Russell Jr. I thought Gary Russell Jr. beat Mark Magsayo, or if you really wanted to be generous, it could have been a draw. But I'm going to tell you guys what I saw. So I saw Mark Magsayo in the early rounds picking his shots very nicely, as Gary Russell Jr. wasn't warmed up and was kind of getting his rhythm and his feel for the fight. He started placing the shots really well early, but then it seemed like as the fight went on, Mark Magsayo kind of got away from the body work, started headhunting, and then the headhunting increased from round 4 on upwards, because Gary Russell Jr., as he stated in the post-fight or in the pre-fight press conferences this week, he had an injury coming into the fight, but he never disclosed what it was. We found out what it was during the fight. It was something with his right shoulder or his right arm, because he hurt his right arm, and they had to look at his right arm in between rounds, and he was relegated pretty much for 2/3 of the fight to being a one-handed fighter, just having to use his left hand. And man, what's impressive is that not only did he survive the fight, but he was outboxing Mark Magsayo easily, and I mean extremely easily. I would even venture as far as to say, and you guys might think I'm hating, but I'm being honest, it was one of the easiest fights for Gary Russell Jr. in his entire career. I thought he won the fight. Maybe you could say he lost because Mark won on activity and Gary couldn't throw enough punches, but I thought he was landing enough punches. I thought he was defensively sound enough to where a lot of these punches that Mark was throwing weren't landing, and I thought he deserved the nod, and if not the nod, then I think a draw would have been fair. But of course, boxing can't do that, because I know how boxing politics work. Gary Russell Jr. is 33. A lot of people in the industry aren't the most fond of him. Then you got this young guy, Mark Magsayo, who's got a good Filipino demographic behind him, who's looking at being the next Filipino star. You got the Manny Pacquiao Association. It just, all the stars aligned to where, like, if this fight was close, Gary Russell Jr. wasn't getting no decision, and the fight was left way too close for Gary Russell Jr. to get a decision. And I'm almost surprised that he even got a majority. I'm surprised he didn't give Mark a damn UD, because that's the kind of politics he was up against tonight. But it's just unfortunate because, Gary Russell Jr. couldn't get fights when he was champion, and he's damn sure not going to get them now. So in my humble opinion, I really think that was the end of Gary Russell Jr.'s career. This was boxing pushing Gary Russell out of the sport, because, think about it. Look how hard it was for him to get fights when he had the belt. What makes you think he's going to get fights without it? We may not see Gary Russell Jr. until 2025, so I'm pretty upset about that. But Mark Magsayo, I'm not trying to sound like a hater, and I'm not trying to sound like the dickhead that I was on the live. If you saw the live, you know what I'm talking about. I sound like a straight dickhead because I was very upset. But he's got a lot of work to do. He's still very raw. I knew that coming into the fight. That got exposed even more. I mean, there was a lack of jabs. There was a lack of a lot of things. There was lack of footwork. He was very squared up and just was susceptible to get outboxed. So, congrats to him on winning his world title. Personally, I think he's absolute food for everybody at 126. I don't think he's really punching like they say he does, because he really didn't have much with Gary Russell tonight. He didn't have much with Julio Ceja when they fought until he got the knockout. But Ceja's a small guy coming up in weight, so he should be doing that to him and a lot earlier. There's just a lot of flaws in him, and hopefully he can correct those things and become a better fighter, because I like seeing fighters develop. But I truthfully believe to the core of my bones that the wrong guy got the nod tonight, and this was boxing doing the boxing industry doing two things at once. It was pushing Gary Russell Jr. out the sport, and it was probably Mark Magsayo to step in to try to market him as the next Filipino star. But I'm gonna tell you guys this. You guys know that a good friend of the channel is my boy Angelo Leo. I mean, I don't know when he plans to move to 126, but I know that it's coming soon. And if it comes soon, I think Angelo Leo will beat the fuck out of Mark Magsayo. And if anybody from Mark Magsayo's team or Sean Gibbons or anybody who has any position of influence sees this video, if you have a problem with what I'm saying, make the fight, and I promise you Angelo Leo will be two-time world champion. So I'm going to leave it at that. Gary Russell Jr., I hope people give him his respect now for the great he showed tonight with only one hand. Because nobody really gave him any respect all these years when he was champion, despite the fact that he's beat some good fighters during his title reign. So I hope he's earned at least a little bit of respect, because all I ever hear is disrespect when it comes to Gary Russell Jr. And I'm not even the biggest Gary Russell Jr. fan myself, but it pisses me off to hear people disrespect a guy like him who, whether you love him or hate him, you know, if we're talking about his ability, he is a pound-for-pound caliber talent that I believe has been mismanaged by Al Heyman and the powers that be. It is what it is, but, you know, it's boxing, you know. Some days are bright, some days are beautiful, some days you love the sport, and then you get days like today where you absolutely hate the sport, and I hate the sport of boxing right now. So I'm going to leave it at that. Congrats to Mark Magsayo on becoming the WBC champion, even though I thought he lost. And even though I think he's a C-class fighter, and I think he's one of the most overrated champions in the entire sport, and I think he's going to lose the first minute he fights anybody good that's not, you know, extremely injured going into the fight. You know, I don't think he'll hold that belt very long, but we'll see what happens. You know, I'm always, you know, I'm always liable to change my mind if you give me a reason to. So I'm not really a big believer in Mark, but hey, he's champion, so congrats to him. But leave your comments down below. You know, congrats to Gary Russell Jr. on a great boxing career, because I don't think you're gonna have much of a boxing career, respectfully. I think you're a fantastic fighter. I think Gary Russell Jr. is a pound-for-pound talent that was mismanaged, and you know, congrats on a great career. But you guys, leave your comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, and like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on True School Sports, the home of boxing. If you made it this far, do me a favor and do yourself a damn favor. Hit that subscribe button, and surely you will not be disappointed. You know, True School Sports bringing you the latest and greatest, the untouchable, you know, boxing content, interviews, news videos, breakdowns, live fight reaction extravaganza. We've got a great community of people here, boxing fans all over the world, from America to the UK to Australia, and on and on and on. So join the empire today. Hit that subscribe button. Take care and God bless.